Hey, what's up, Solar family? It's James here, founder of Solar University, and welcome to video number 1 of this 4-part video series. And what I want to do is I want to explain to you the 4 pillars to solar sales mastery. And keep in mind that it goes in this sequential order, right? But before I dive into pillar 1, I just want to give you an overview what the 4 pillars are, right? So the first pillar to solar sales mastery is sales, right? This is the first part. You don't need anything else besides learning how to sell when you first get started. Because I speak to so many solar consultants every single day, especially the newer consultant, and they always ask me, hey James, I've been in the solar industry for like 2 or 3 months and I need leads, right? And don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously you need to fill the pipeline of leads, but if you can't sell any jobs, right, at this point, then that's not where you should be focusing your attention. And what I'll do is I'll dive in even deeper so it makes even more sense, right? The second pillar to solar sales mastery is automation. And I can't stress this enough, right? Because your wealth is gonna come in the follow-up. And I'm pretty sure you probably heard that before. Maybe you didn't quite grasp what that saying is. But even if you're a really high closer, meaning that you close 40, 50% of your deals, and that's really high. Even if you have that high close rate, what do you do with the other 50% of homeowners or even 60% of homeowners that decided not to move forward at the coffee table or during your Zoom meeting? So this is where you should be focusing as far as staying connected with these homeowners, because when they are ready to move forward, you should be top of mind. Because you don't want to make the same mistakes that I've made in the past when, I felt like, I got it, this homeowner's going to move forward. And I followed up with that homeowner, 2 or 3 times, maybe, in a week. And maybe the second week I was able to call them again. And the third week, the follow-up got less and less. And the 4th week, I probably forgot to follow up with them. And even when I did remember to follow up with them after the 5th week, I gave them a call and they're like, hey, James, you know what? I lost your information. Or I got this other quote or whatnot, and we already signed a contract with another company. I don't want that to happen to you, right? And if you don't have any automation in place, this will happen to you. And again, these are the 4 pillars to solar sales mastery, right? So if you're ready to take your sales, your income, your life to the next level, these are the things that you got to do that other people aren't doing, so you can actually get ahead of your competition, right? And hopefully that makes sense. The third pillar is leads. Right? Obviously, you still need to feed the pipeline, but not at this point, right? Especially if you're completely new and you've been in the solar industry for like 2 or 3 months or even less, right? And leads is not necessarily what you need at this point, but obviously you do. And as you can see, it's actually 3rd on the list, right? It's not 1st on the list that you would think it would be, especially if you're just starting out, right? So the idea of generating leads is the traditional way, which is canvassing, tabling events, setting up a table at a farmer's market. And obviously, depending on you watching this video, we can't go out right now, right? We're in quarantine. So you need to come up with more strategic ways through social media to market yourself to generate leads, right? But that's video number 3, right? And don't dive over there. I know you're super excited for lead generation, but don't dive over there. Make sure you watch every single one of these videos in sequential order, right? So it makes total sense to you, because I want you to become a solar master, right? After these trainings. And if you want to dive in deeper, make sure you book a solar strategy call. If you have more questions, if you need our help, we would love to dive in deeper and help you. The 4th pillar to solar sales mastery is online sales, right? So now you're able to generate leads on demand in social media. You're feeding your machine, right? You know how to sell, you're feeding your machine. And now let's get you off the streets, right? Instead of meeting, homeowners at their coffee table, let's now get you on an online platform where it frees up a lot more of your time, so you can do the things that you love doing with the people you love doing it with, without driving around and wasting your time all day sitting in traffic. Hopefully that made sense, right? And keep in mind, I'm gonna dive in deeper in each one of these pillars, but the pillars are in sequential order, right? Pillar 1 is sales, pillar 2 is automation, pillar 3 is leads, and pillar 4 is online sales, and it goes in that order. And hopefully that's starting to make sense, right? Starting to make sense. So let's dive into sales, right? How important it is to learn how to be a high closer, because this industry is changing. Back in the day when I first got started 7 years ago, I got a little bit of training, right? I probably had like 4 hours worth of training at Starbucks, and I was a W-2 employee at the time, right? So obviously they want to invest as much training as they can to improve my skills because they are paying for my time. But these days, majority of solar companies, every sales guy that they have is a 1099, meaning that they don't necessarily invest much time, in your success. It's kind of like, a double-edged sword. They should, but they don't. So they probably spend maybe an hour or two of training, and they cut you loose, right? And you'd be lucky to get a laptop from this solar company. But it's your obligation, right? You have to take responsibility, and that's one thing as far as mindset, right? You have to take responsibility of your own destiny. So meaning that if you didn't get enough training from your solar company, you need to find another source, right? Whether that's online, just like what we do in Solar University, that's up to you to find that resource, right? And hopefully these YouTube videos have been helping you out. But again, you're getting paid tens of thousands of dollars, if maybe a little bit less than that, but it's your responsibility to use some of that money to improve your skills, right? I can't stress this enough. And you can't wait for your solar company to invest in you. Do that on your own, right? Just like an athlete, just like anyone that's in the top of their game, they invested in themselves, right? They practiced before the actual game. And then when they're in the game, that's when they applied everything that they know during practice. So I highly suggest for you to find a coach, right? Because let me break down the numbers, and this will make total sense to you why you need to invest into getting a coach. Because a lot of times we feel like we're not going to invest into something because you don't want to put money into something, but keep in mind that you are going to get a return on your investment. Meaning that if you were able to invest, say for example, $5,000 in a coach, and that coach can teach you a skill, that's gonna pay you an additional, $5,000 every single month. So the question for you is, how much money are you losing out on for not investing in yourself and not investing in a coach, right? Let me break down the numbers for you, and I think this is gonna make total sense for you. Say for example, if you sit down with 10 homeowners, right? Every single month. And let me back it up a little bit. Say for example that you want to close 3 deals a month, right? And you're sitting down with 10 homeowners every single month, and you have a close rate of 30%. That means to hit this 3 deals per month goal, got the H there, you only need to close 3 deals, right? And you only need to sit down with 10 homeowners. Is that making sense so far? So if you have a 30% close rate, you only have to sit down with 10 homeowners to close 3 deals. And as far as the commission, those 3 deals can be, say for example, conservatively, that's $4,000 a deal. That's $12,000 in your pocket, right? I can't write for whatever reason. Does that make sense? Right? 3 deals a month is your goal. You sit down with 10 homeowners at a 30% close rate, right? 30% close rate, you're just closing 3 deals with 10 homeowners, right? Does that make sense? Imagine if it was the same exact goal, right? I wanted to close 3 deals, right? This is where the whole equation changes. You would have to sit down, instead of 10, you would have to sit down with about 30, a little bit over 30 homeowners, right? Actually, it's right around 30 homeowners. And if your close rate is at 10%, for example, then that means that you need to sit down with 30 homeowners, right? Let that sink in a little bit. 30 homeowners to make the same exact amount of money if you were closing at a 30% close rate, right? Maybe it hasn't sunk in yet. Let me explain, let me get in a little bit deeper here why this is so important, right? Why you need to invest in yourself to be at least a 30 to 40% closer. Super important, right? Because enable for you to sit down with 30 homeowners, you're gonna need at least 60 sit down appointments. The reason why I say 60 is because 50% of these homeowners that agree to have a consultation with you are gonna flake out. They're gonna say, hey, you know, I don't wanna do this anymore. I got something to do, whatever it is, right? They're gonna cancel. So meaning that enable to sit down with 30 homeowners, right? Now you got your 30 homeowners, you have to get 60, right? 60. So I don't know what your conversion numbers are. Say for example, if you're knocking on doors, how many doors you have to knock on to get 60 homeowners to commit to a solar consultation, and 50% of those homeowners will flake out. That's why we'll talk about, I already erased it, but we'll talk about automation in video number 2, right? That's why automation is really important, because don't worry, right? Those 50% that fell off here, we'll get them later, right? Now, hopefully it's kind of connecting a bit, right? Because like I said, the wealth is going to come in the follow-up, which we'll talk about how we're going to be able to stay connected with the other 50% that canceled. But imagine, right? Hopefully this is starting to sink in. Imagine you only had to sit down with 10 homeowners instead of 30 to get the exact same amount of deals that you wanted to close in a month, right? Which was 3. So as far as, you know, learning the skill of closing, right? This is my tip to you. Even if you're an amazing salesperson, say for example that you're in the car business, right? Even if you're an amazing, car salesman, solar is a different animal, right? It's just like me saying, hey, you know, John, right? You're in car sales and I want to get in car sales, and I sit at the lot and I'm standing there and I say, you know what, guys, I don't need any training. I've been selling solar for over 8 years, right? They're gonna look at me like, dude, this guy is crazy, right? Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Obviously, it will help if you're in sales, but get some guidance. Make sure that you take this chip off your shoulder, right? And I've been guilty of this. When I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna invest in anyone. I know it all. It's not gonna be worth it. I can do this on myself. It's not rocket science. And that mindset really held me back from reaching my next income potential. Until you can put the ego and leave it at the door and invest in yourself, right? Because you are making, thousands and thousands of dollars in the industry. That's why they're paying you the big money and they're not paying you $10 an hour in this industry, right? You have to know your stuff. And the way to really understand and know the strategies and how to close deals with solar, how to infuse, mindset strategies, and how to infuse like sales psychology, you need to invest in yourself. I can't stress that enough. So hopefully that's making some sense. And obviously, I'm not gonna dive in deep as far as how to sell in this actual video, but if you wanna dive in deeper, you want to learn how to be a high closer, make sure you book a solar strategy call. We will love to dive in deeper with you and show you exactly just that, right? Hopefully this stuff is starting to make sense a bit, and make sure you watch video number 2, which is automation. Because at the end of this 4-part video series, I know you're gonna be further ahead in your sales knowledge, right, than when you first started out. So other than that, hopefully this helped out a bit. And again, if you want to dive in deeper, make sure you book your solar strategy call. It's gonna be pop-up somewhere around this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, make sure you subscribe to get all my updated videos as it comes out. And lastly, make sure you smash the like button so this video gets shared to other solar consultants so it can help them out as well. Other than that, have an amazing day. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you in video number 2.